Welcome to the Connectable podcast.
The Connectable podcast starts in 3, 2, 1.
I'm just going to say it. This podcast got a little better looking, a little nicer, and the shorts got a little shorter on this episode. So
I'll stand up if you want me to, man.
Hey.
I'm just kidding.
No, let's save some for the people. That would be like the Patreon content. Like, hey, if you pay $5, you get to see what's below the screen. It's not a good start to the podcast.
Man. We started out hot.
Yeah. You know what's bad is my mother-in-law listens to this too. So like, she does every week. So I got to be careful what I.
That's hilarious.
But it never happens.
Oh, that's
Stuff
good.
just comes out. So, anyways, you guys will probably notice if you're watching the video, and then if you're just listening, you probably figure that Deb is not here today. But today we have a special guest co-host back from episode number 2, Travis Cole.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Nothing, man. Thanks for having me on here. I feel honored. It's a privilege every time you ask me to be on here. And sometimes I don't feel like I have a big voice, but Josh, you always encourage me and push me in uncomfortable positions for myself, but also growing and learning experiences for sure. So
that's very kind. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is, man.
Like it.
No, anytime I have to do anything like public speaking, which I don't personally enjoy very often, you are always one of the first to encourage me afterwards. So I appreciate that. Can always count on Josh.
That might be true. I do like to send some good thoughts his way. Well, let me ask you this. This is not what we're talking about today, but I remember maybe like 5 years ago I saw an article, and it was about introverts, and it was something like 10 things that introverts are actually really good at that you wouldn't expect. And one of the things is public speaking. And they said, you think they would be terrified, and sometimes they're like horrified about the idea of doing public speaking, but when it actually comes down to the ability to do it, they're actually really good. And I feel like you're in that category, man, because I feel like anytime I see you speak, I'm like, I don't know why this dude doesn't like public speaking, because he could probably just keep doing it and kill it. So,
you know what? I've never heard that before, but I'm not surprised, only for the fact that if I commit to doing it, I'm going to prepare for it. Whereas like maybe an extrovert thinks they've already got it, they don't feel like they have to prepare for it as much, and they can just wing it. Or for me, I'm going to over prepare for whatever it is that like even doing this, I'm like, hey Josh, make sure you send me what we're going to be talking about, because I don't want to get in there and I'm going to be like, I don't know what to say. So anyways, I think that's an interesting take on it. I never heard that, but I'm not surprised, because I definitely have to put in the time ahead of time to be aware of what the context of what I want to say and whatnot, but appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that makes, I never really thought about that, but that's probably true. I mean, I think, it's kind of like with sports too, right? Like you might have an athlete who's just an incredible athlete who can kind of go out there, not really practice that much and kill it. And then you have someone else that, maybe doesn't have the same skill set, but then comes in and is really successful, like in a crunch time situation or maybe in the playoffs. And you look back, it's like they just had to put a lot of work in. They don't have the same natural skill, but that's interesting.
Totally.
Do that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But either way, I'm thankful that you were willing to come back. And
for sure.
I'm also thankful because your numbers on the podcast do pretty well. So selfishly, I know this will be a successful episode. So, hey man. So, one of the big things I wanted to talk to you about is when you were on the show last, whenever that was that early December? I think it was. Yeah, it was December-ish, something around that time for sure. Okay. That's what I was thinking. You were talking about doing a half Ironman, and you've done it at this point. But
I did.
Man, first, we could start in a bunch of different areas, but I want to start here because I think this is probably the one of the more interesting parts. You had an injury right before the race. I don't know why I'm laughing. I shouldn't be laughing.
It is comical because I about lost my mind because of it.
How I think
before? You're referring to. It was probably a month out.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah. so the race was May 1st, and sorry, the race
That's
was
all
May
good.
1st, and I it was probably early April that so I trained from like I was well prepared, I feel like, for it. My training start date was January 1st, basically, and I was trained up before that, like had a really good base, but my official training started January 1st. And then so I had put a ton of time in. April comes, it's kind of, you're at the point where you start to taper a little bit going into the race, where your training volume isn't as high and intense. So anyways, yeah, I'm doing some laundry, and Mel, my wife, is in the shower, and she turns the shower on and just let it run for a good like 10 minutes before she even got in the shower, just waiting for the water to get hot, and left it on. And the door was cracked open, and so water was spilling all over the floor without me ever knowing that. And so I had like a bunch of stuff in my hands. I had shoes, clothes, and like my phone. And I walked by the shower door and just fell straight. I like did the splits. And when I went down, I just nailed my knee, like my kneecap, super hard. Immediately like swelled up, not like terribly, but it was definitely like a good bulge on the end of my kneecap, and just incredibly tight, like just badly bruised. And so I stayed off it for a few days. I was always icing it multiple times a day, and it didn't bother me much when I would go on my bike, but it would bother me on the run. But quickly got over it. I think it was mainly just a deep bruise, which I was thankful for. Mel was like really scared. She felt like it was on her. That if like something happened, you put all this time and effort into training, and then fall because of water on the overspill from the shower. So yeah, I still can actually feel, I haven't told her, but like it's still like slightly tight, like if I have to stretch it every now and then, but I'm not worried that it's anything serious, but it's still lingering a little bit.
Man, I'll tell you what, that those knee injuries are weird. Yeah. I remember I was playing, this was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. No, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I was playing softball out at Capitol, and I was running, and I rounded second, and I just slipped. I tripped over my own feet. However you want to put it.
The dirt was slippery, Josh.
Sure.
It was the dirt's fault.
Which at that point, I don't know if you were doing the landscaping, but I'm not blaming you.
Yeah, it probably was me.
I'm not blaming you for my injury, but no, my feet got tangled up. I fell, and I landed right at my knee, and I felt like I was like hobbling off the field. I'm like, this is shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's just the weirdest. Like, I don't know what it is with knee injuries, but they can just be the most annoying thing, even if it's not that big of a deal. They
can't. Exactly. That's what I actually dealt with a lot last year, because before I decided to do an Ironman, I was running a lot. Like because I enjoy running. Like that's what I kind of did to stay active. And so I'd go out and run, but I was like, I had no purpose to my running. I would go out and just run whatever I wanted to run that day. And some days I'd run hard, some days I wouldn't. But I found myself, I was pushing it too hard often. And so I would get this like, I forget what it's called. It's like it's on the side of my knee. There's like a tendon that runs from like your hip all the way down. And I forget what it's called. Like we
had someone on our podcast a little while ago. And he has a running club, pretty similar to like Change, but like a little bit more international. And he had the same thing. And I can't remember what the name of it is, but he had the same issue. Okay. So for me, it was just like a runner's knee is kind of what they refer to it as a runner. But yeah, it's not like it's extremely painful, but it will just nag you, right? It'll just be a big annoyance, painful, not to the point where it sidelines you, or it never did me, but I was always constantly having to find like stretches and stretching after every run and icing all the time. And like, but now I don't deal with that stuff anymore at all. So it's been really good. That's good. Do you take supplements that assist with that or anything like that?
No, I actually don't. The only thing I take some like collagen protein.
Okay.
And it's supposed to help with like your joints and stuff. Other than that, and it's not like daily. It's in my routine. I think I try to do it daily, but I skip days and stuff. But yeah.
So you're just naturally
I don't
like
take
this.
any supplements.
You're just naturally.
No, naturally.
I hate you, man. I'm just gonna say it,
bro.
I hate you because I feel like I'm taking fish oil. I'm taking vitamins. He's like, yeah, I just did a half Ironman. No big deal. I take a little bit of collagen protein.
Oh man, no, that's I've learned, man. So like last year, it was 2020, the beginning of 2020. We'll just get into it because we want to talk about fitness. Yeah. And I decided I wanted to have a goal to run 1,000 miles. And so I set that goal out. So I knew roughly I had to hit around 100 miles a month. Obviously that would put me over 1,000, but I just knew that some months would be busier than others. So it would kind of help. So that's what I shot for. And at the beginning, the first 3 months, I was getting like 1 month I did 40 miles. 1 month I did like 60. One I did like 80 or something like that. So because I was having issues with my knee. And so I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do this. So I just stopped running for a while. And then all of a sudden, gave it a break. And then I would, try to stretch and ice it and do different things to help get it back. Finally I did, and got over it like halfway through the year, like completely, where I never dealt with it anymore. I was more strategic on how I would run and whatnot. So, I think after that, I learned like you got to have a plan, I think, to some degree. Sure. But that's kind of what set me up to do the Ironman. I was running, and then when my knee would hurt, I would hop on my bike because I always enjoyed cycling. So I'd hop on my bike because it didn't bother it as much. So I would rack up a lot of miles on the bike the months I wasn't running as much. And so between the two of those, I was like, man, I should do an Ironman. And so, because that was one thing I'd always been a goal of mine. I always told Mel, like from day one, that I always wanted to do a full Ironman. Yeah. And so I still haven't, but I'm signed up for one. And so it's October 24th.
Okay, cool. Coming up.
Yeah. So it's still 5 months out or so. But yeah, it's here in Sacramento. It's the first time like Ironman's come to Sacramento. And cool. As far as I'm aware of, if they did, it might've been a long time ago, but hasn't been here for a while. And so, yeah, I'm excited to do that one. I signed up for that one first, and then Mel's like, you should probably do like a half one first, just to get some experience. I'm like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. So I went on and looked for the soonest race I could find, and found Ironman St. George 70.3, which is a half Ironman, which was May 1st, and that was the first one I did. And I met some people in the Ironman community that were local that I trained with a little bit, and they're like, man, you really picked like the worst one possible for your first Ironman, because it's one of the most challenging courses there are. And I'm like, I didn't know anything about it. I thought they were all challenging, right? So I just was like, St. George is not too far from me. I could drive there and whatnot. So, but yeah, it was a really challenging course. It was like a 3,500 foot elevation gain on the bike, and then a 1,500 foot elevation gain on the run. So it was just nonstop, just running up hills, biking up hills, and challenging course for my first one. And
yeah, for sure,
it was good. I had a really good experience, and I didn't compete as well as I wanted to for my sake. Like I wasn't trying to compete against others; I was competing against myself ultimately. Yeah. But didn't perform as well as I would like to have. But at the end of the day, I wanted to get under 6 hours, and I did a 6 hours and 26 minutes. So I wasn't too far off that. I learned a lot from it, but yeah.
No, sorry, not to interrupt you, but where do you feel like which leg of the race do you feel like held you back a little bit more than you were expecting?
By far the run. And like the run is like, I love running. Like that's by far my best sport out of the three. And I really enjoy running. I was like looking forward to the run the entire time. I was like, I can't wait to get off this bike and just crush the run. And I got to the run and like couldn't run. I had to walk so much of it. And
Yeah.
I would run and then my biggest problem was I was cramping in my abdomen and in my like chest up in here and in my back. So anytime I would like jog at all, it would just seize up and I like couldn't breathe. And it wasn't even my legs. My legs were fine, which typically in an endurance thing like that, like you would feel it that way, but I didn't bonk anything like that. It was completely a hydration thing, which I learned a lot. That's a big part of these races is nutrition on the race, because you never really fully you train somewhat with nutrition wise when you're training for these things, but you don't ever get that full experience until you're actually out there racing and know what it does to your body. So I learned a lot from that, and I think going into my next one, I'm gonna have to dial that in and make sure hydration is right. And but yeah, so it was an interesting experience.
No, it sounds like it was cool. It sounds exhausting. It's funny that you mentioned the leg thing too, because I've seen, obviously we follow each other on social media, and I've seen, over the course of the last few months, you've gone out to the trails with Blake Kidwell, a buddy of ours from the Character Combine podcast. But he, I see some of those times, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just ridiculous. And then the other day, I'm like, oh, let's see what that's like. I tried running like a quicker pace. I feel like my legs can literally not move that fast. Like I'm trying and my legs are like, no, you're not ready for this.
I know.
Which is frustrating because people look at me and they're like, oh, he's tall, he's got long legs, he must be fast. It's not true. Never been fast in my entire life. And it's just a crazy thing. So I can imagine that when you do a race like that and you have all these other elements and then you try to run.
Right.
I mean, but like you said, it wasn't even the legs though. It was just these other factors.
Yeah, I was just completely cramping up, and like my body would seize up. Like it was just really painful. So anytime I was like, all right, I'm good. Like I would get to the top of the hill and see like this downhill, just want to like crush it. No matter, like I did a lot of training on hills because I knew the course was going to be really hilly, and I would, I could cruise up a hill and then hit the downhill and just fly, like just really let my legs loose. And I always felt good doing that. Like no matter how winded or how high my heart rate was, it would always come down on a downhill. But this was a different story. Like I would try and push it, and then all of a sudden I'd just start cramping up and I'd be like, I gotta walk. Like I'd have to walk downhill, which was just like, is such a bummer because I feel like it was a good opportunity to really like let loose, and I just couldn't. So
man, that's a bummer.
I don't like to like come back to this, but I did. So I got to Utah, St. George, Utah on a Thursday afternoon. The race was Saturday morning.
Okay.
When I got in Thursday, I had to like register, check in and whatnot. And then I was there by myself, and I went to this like smoothie joint for like a smoothie for dinner that night. And they had like wraps, like chicken lettuce wraps or whatever. So I ended up getting one of those, and I went back, ate it all. And I remember like thinking the chicken felt funny, like it was kind of rubbery, and I like spit some of it out because it felt funny. And I didn't think anything of it though. And then the middle of that night, I woke up just completely in pain. My stomach was really sick and had to go to the bathroom. I never was like throwing up, but had really bad diarrhea and that whole next day. And yeah, I was wiped out. Like I told Mel, like I was like, if I don't change, like if I don't get a massive shift in the way I feel, I don't know if I'll be able to race. Like I was that bad. And so that day, I went to bed at like, I think it was like 4:00 that day. I took a nap early in the day, and then I tried to go to bed as soon as I could. And because I was getting up, I had to be up like at 3 a.m. the next day for race. And so anyways, it was a long day on Friday. Just tried to get through it. I was hydrating as much as I can.
Yeah.
And had no energy. I went out for like a 2-mile run just to like see how I felt. And I stopped like 2 times on the run, like had to get under a tree and just like sit down because I felt like terrible. Yeah, it was like, I was like, I'm done. Like I didn't think I was gonna be able to race. So the next day I wake up, I'm like praying that, I get a massive shift in the way I'm feeling. And I was hydrating like crazy, taking lots of like different electrolytes that would go to me faster. So anyways, I woke up feeling really good and was thankful that, I thought I could at least go there thinking I was, going to be able to race. So
Sure.
I think at the end of the day, that could have played a factor into the way I felt that day. Sure. So, but I don't like to blame it on that, but I think it could have definitely played a factor.
I think so too. Should we call out the restaurant you went to? Just put them on blast.
Yeah, we definitely should.
Yeah.
Don't go to that one.
Yeah. At the very least, don't get the chicken wrap because, we don't know what they put in there.
Exactly. The smoothie was great. It was like, I was trying to be really healthy, like being very conscious of what I was putting in my body. And I had like a spinach smoothie with like all fruit in it. It was like nothing else added to it. And yeah. Anyways.
That's something that I
feel like I'm talking too much.
No, you're good. Hey, that's why we have you on here, man. People don't want they've heard me 32. Well, no, they've heard me a lot. I don't know how many episodes, but they've heard me a lot. So it's all good.
My stories. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, man, like that, what you eat before the race. I mean, I've done 4 marathons and it's always one of the things that freaks me out before.
Totally.
So I'm like, it's like, I know I've eaten this before, but I'm really trying to find like, is this going to mess me up? And it's always a big fear of mine when I did those races. Now, would it have mattered that much? Probably not. I'm still, like I said, I'm still slow, but it's going to make it a lot more enjoyable, or it's going to make it way
for sure.
worse.
Big time.
So yeah, there's certain things that I definitely try to avoid, like garlic, man. Like I love like garlic fries, and garlic bread, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's one of those things though. If I had too much garlic, my stomach's like,
you feel it.
You pay for it. So I'm like, no garlic before. So yeah, it's the whole thing, man. Like when you really look at when you're active and you're doing these races or you're just, exercising, like it is interesting how like everything plays a part, like how you eat is going to affect it, or how you sleep is going to affect it, all these different things. And it's like, I think the older you get, right, the more you realize that. I mean, I'm in my early 30s. And so I'm starting to like realize, you know what, maybe a burger before basketball is a bad idea. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's so true. It's not like high school where you could go down a Pepsi and like Jim Boy's tacos and like that's what I remember in high school. Like before football, like because I get out my senior year, we get out at like 12 o'clock, and then we'd go to like Jack in the Box and like load up on their tacos. I'd have a soda. I'm like, that's what I was like living off of back then, and that you could perform just fine off it. Nowadays, that sounds like miserable. It sounds torturous.
That sounds horrible. That makes me, like. And plus, Jim Boy's tacos, nothing against, you said Jim Boy's tacos or Jack in the Box?
I said Jim Boy's first, but I remember it's Jack in the Box. So you can get like 2 for $1. Yeah.
I love Jim Boy's Jack in the Box tacos. Like you could debate whether or not those are really tacos.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So like, that makes sense. Putting that into your body. I remember like guys would drink energy drinks before games. I hear stories of guys that played football in high school drinking 2 Red Bulls before games. I'm like, to me, that sounds like, I just like an old man now. I'm like, that sounds terrible. How about a nice water, nice Gatorade? And I love energy drinks, but I know what I'm doing when I drink it. That's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't even drink like regular Gatorades anymore. I'll drink like the zero sugar ones, and I'm just like paying attention to all that now. Like I don't know, stupid, but.
Well, but you're an athlete, you're like an athlete that's training for stuff. So that makes sense. Let me ask you this. So the race that you did, so yours was like roughly 6.5 hours, your finish time. What was the first place time?
It was, I don't know the exact time. It was probably like around 3.5 hours. It's insane. Like, I wish I should try and pull it up. But yeah, it was insane. It was an incredible race. Like in the Ironman world, it's like they said they haven't seen a race like this in many years. It came down to like 2 guys sprinting it out for the last 5K of the race, just neck and neck running with each other the whole way. And then like the last, I don't know, maybe 400 meters, the guy pulls away. It was insane. Like it maybe even closer than that. It was wild race, but that's really exciting to go back and watch.
Dang, 3 hours. That's wild. That is a wild time.
Yep.
And then remind me, so for the full Ironman, what's the full Ironman look like?
It's 2.4 mile swim, 2.4 mile swim. That's what you start with. And then you go on to 112-mile bike, and then a full marathon run. So 26.2 miles.
Okay.
So
it's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know the cycling world. Is that distance for cycling roughly like, what is that like?
It's like a
marathon. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, like, anytime you do a century, which is 100 miles, it's not even, I mean, it's gruesome on your legs for sure. Like, it's very taxing on your legs. It's just an all body, like, comfort thing. Like, your back really starts to hurt, your shoulders hurt, your butt hurts from sitting on the saddle all day. Like, it's a long time on a bike. It's it can be 6 hours on the bike, so it's a long time. It's very taxing on the body for sure. It's a comfort thing for me though. Like, I just get really uncomfortable and when you're on it for long periods of time, but that's just part of the training, is getting comfortable on the bike. Like, a lot of the training I'm doing right now is long hours on the bike, and because that's the, out of all the three, that's the most time that you're out there on, is the bike, more than the run or the swim. So the swim, it's funny because going into Ironman stuff, the swim was like terrifying for me because I have no swimming background, but it was actually something I actually started to really enjoy. Got kind of overcoming that fear, and now I the swim is like no problem to me. Like, I look at it like, I got this, like, no problem. So now it's like the bike is a little terrifying to me, but
yeah. And
yeah,
like I said, I do have a bike. It's like a Fuji bike.
Yeah.
It's not a super expensive one. And I haven't ridden it for a while, but I remember when I first bought it, the saddle was just brutal. And
right.
It's like, I didn't realize I signed up for a vasectomy. This is awful. What is going on here? Like, why am I riding this thing? And so I think they're horrible. It's like, it's a seat, but it's a plastic. It's like you're sitting on like a square plate. It's horrible.
Yeah, it is. That, I think that's the biggest thing that keep people off of bikes. Like, they go sit on a road bike, and it's like, if you're not used to it, they're like, how do you sit on this for so long? This is so uncomfortable. But the more you get on that thing, the more you ride it, your body becomes accustomed to it. And like, now I can sit on a seat for a long time and it doesn't bother me at all. So it just, you build up to it.
Yeah, it's been a while, so I can imagine the next time I hop on it, it's gonna be painful.
You won't like it.
I probably won't hop on
for
it.
That, like, first, yeah. Be fine for the first hour, and then after that, and then like the next day, you're like, I'm not touching that bike because you're so sore there.
It's a weird soreness. It's definitely a weird soreness. I remember like the next day waking up, I'm thinking like, I don't know, something's not right. Like, I tore something, I broke something. Something's not right. Like, I basically ruined myself for $500. This is a bad choice. So
totally.
But yeah, man. Anyways, like, that's awesome, man. Congrats on finishing that, and hopefully Ironman. We'll have to have you on after your Ironman. Like, I'm just interested, dude. So, and I'm sure other people are interested as well. Deb would have been interested, but she
right. It's all good.
Yeah, I know.
Connect again.
Well, we'll see. I don't want to tell everybody this, and Deb, you're gonna find this out when you hear this. This is actually a tryout. I snuck Trav in here for a tryout. I'm still trying to convince him to be the host of this thing. So if he ever says yes, Deb, just know
Deb's gone
without question. So no pressure. Yeah. But
man.
So we'll have to have you on after your full Ironman, just to see how that
went.
And hopefully,
definitely.
No chicken wraps, stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, I learned that lesson early. I'm like sticking to only stuff that I'm making, and
hey, there you go.
And that's what I'm gonna be doing. So it's funny. I watched like a YouTube video of actually the guy that won it. He has a YouTube channel, and cool. He did like a leading up to that race, and he was talking about how he almost didn't go to the race, like the week of. He almost didn't even end up going because he couldn't find a place to stay that had like a kitchen and whatnot. And he's like, the only way I'm going is if I, can stay in like an Airbnb that has like full kitchen access. Cause he's like, I'm only making my own food. And I'm like, it's a good lesson learned right there.
Makes
Like
sense.
he does, he knows what he's putting in his body. He has the same routines. Obviously he's on a whole nother level, but
Sure.
still it was like good lesson learned there for sure. So,
for sure. Well, that's part of the craziness of those bigger races, I would imagine, or at least I've heard, is it's not just, hey, because like, so you and I have both done the CIM here in Sacramento.
Yeah.
It's
within. Are you doing that again, by the way?
Sorry. No, I'm good.
Are you doing?
Okay. No, I think that
you got to do it, man. They're doing it this year. Yeah,
that's true. Maybe not this year, but one day. Here's the thing. I've done 4. And I'm like, I don't need to do 5. My dad, who did all of his between his like late 60s, early 70s, he's done 5.
Wow.
And for a while it was a competition. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna let you beat me. And then I got to a certain point. I'm like, I'm making all these excuses, right? I'm like, you're retired. You have time to do the training. I can't, all these excuses. In fact, I don't know if you knew this. The second year, and we were probably working together when this happened. The second year I did it, I hurt my knee. Because we came back to the knee thing. I hurt my knee because the first year is the first year. You're excited. You're doing all the training, all that, like the B change schedule. I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow this to a T. And you feel pretty good. Again, the time wasn't great, but like I felt really good. The next year, I'm like, come on, I've done this before. I know how this goes. And so I didn't really do the training that much. And then during the training, I'm like, well, I'm going to skip the weekday runs and just jump into these long runs on the weekend.
Nice.
It wasn't, because I ended up hurting my knee.
I'm
like a 10-mile run. It was only a 10-mile run. And I'm like, oh, my knee. And so I had to wear this like old man brace on my knee the day of the race. And
terrible, dude.
Yeah, my dad ended up beating me. So he beat me.
That's good. He's got that against you forever, man.
Forever. Well, and then to make it worse, by the time I got to the finish line, like all my family, goes to those races and they're following us at different points and, cheering us on. Well, we get to the end of the race. He beats me by, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. It was a decent margin. And I get to the finish line and my entire family has like signs saying your 65-year-old or 70-year-old dad beat you. There's no sympathy. Not one person's like, hey, Josh, how's your knee?
Good job, Josh. Yeah.
None of that. None of that.
I just rubbed it in.
Just pointing and laughing.
That's good family, man. I like that.
I know. That's how they are. It's like if they did do that, it would concern me. I'm like, why aren't you guys making fun of me? I would think I'm dying or something. Actually, I'm gonna tell this other story too about so my dad's last marathon. I didn't do it. This last one he did, I didn't do, but I was out there and I was gonna kind of run with him at different points. And so basically, once we kind of get into the downtown area, that's when I was gonna finish out the race with him. And we were running. My wife's gonna hate that I'm telling the story, and I wish I could. Maybe I'll post a video. I don't know, but I had just gotten a GoPro, and so I'm kind of like chronicling this with the GoPro as I'm running with my dad. And we get to a point where we're downtown, and my mom, my sister, and my wife, Rachel, are there cheering my dad on. And so they're kind of jogging along the street next to him. And so I'm holding the GoPro off to the side. So, it's kind of like a selfie and you can see my dad, me, and then behind us on the sidewalk, you can see my sister, mom, and girlfriend at the time, my wife now. And all of a sudden you hear, oh no, my wife had tripped. Rachel tripped and stumbled. And it's you see in the background of the video, like, oh,
no.
Boom, hits the ground. And she falls right next to this homeless lady. And this homeless lady just picks her up like, sweetie, are you okay?
My.
And the best part for me is that I'm like, the GoPro's still on. I run over there. And my mom, being a sports family mom, she's like, she's fine. Keep going. She's fine. Keep going. It's my favorite part of the whole thing. And
that's hilarious.
Yeah. So it was, I'll talk to her about that later. It was a fun moment for our family. In fact, the other day, my brother Justin's like, hey man, you saw that video? Can you send it to me? For no reason. Hilarious. He just wanted to watch it. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe one day I'll do another marathon, make it 5. But and part of it too, like, it's a little bit different now with the ages of my kids, but maybe one day I'll do another marathon. Maybe I'll do a different marathon. You know what I mean? Have you done a different marathon, or have you only done CIM?
I haven't. I've only done the CIM. I've only done it twice. And I I'm actually excited. I signed up for it again. So during all this, I hadn't done even the half Ironman, but I found out that like it was in April where they released the registration for the CIM, and they didn't do it last year because of COVID.
Sure.
And I had no desire to do another marathon, but then I started doing the Ironmans, and I'm thinking, I'm like, dang, I'm going to be in really good shape to run a marathon. I'll be like, I'll have just finished the full Ironman, and then like a month after the CIM starts. So I signed up for it, and I'm excited to do it because I feel like at that point it'll be a piece of cake, right? Like I wanted to be able to push it and see how fast I could do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always wanted to do a full marathon, like low threes, like a low 3 hour pace. So I don't know if I can, but that's kind of like a goal of mine.
I'm sure you can.
I don't know. I follow. So like the training is a lot different for these Ironman because it's really prolonged endurance. So it's not really like a fast twitch muscle thing, whereas like running a marathon at a faster pace, you got to train differently, where you got to get like some high intensity training in there too for speed and stuff. But which I still do that some, but not as much probably. But yeah, I'm hoping that I feel like I'll be in pretty good shape to knock it out. I don't know. Like I think a realistic goal, I could do like a 320. Okay. I'd like to be able to go lower, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So.
Oh, dude, I'm sure you'll be fine. I think your body's gonna be so thrilled that you're not doing the swim and the cycling.
Yeah.
Just the run. Sure. Are you sure? Perfect.
Yeah. It's funny because like right now my long runs, which I just started kind of doing long runs, and each week last week I did 17 on Sunday. I have to do 18 on Saturday this week. So it's like, and I don't know. I feel like a 26-mile run is like nothing right now. It's funny how your mind works when you get used to, building up a certain level, but that's just the training that paying off. And it's fun. That's one thing I've loved about this is just kind of seeing the slow progression of my speed getting faster, the distance, like not even being an issue, whereas like starting out, if I had to run 10 miles, like that was dreadful. Now 20-mile run is it's a long run for sure, and I still like get tired from it, but I actually like look forward to it. I feel good the next day, which is like insane. Like that would have just wiped me out for forever, right? So
yeah, for sure. I'm with you, not to the same extent. Not even close to the same extent, but
no, I get it. Yeah, to your level or whatever it is.
Well, yeah, because it was a little while ago. I did a 16-mile run, I think, and
nice.
In the middle of that, I know I still had 10 more miles to go if I wanted to do a marathon. But like I was telling my wife, in my mind, I'm like, I could do a marathon right now. Now I know that wouldn't be the case.
That's the best place to be.
But you're right. Like, so I can imagine that with all the training and that's me just basically doing like four, maybe 5 runs during the week, and then a big run on the weekend. So for someone in your position where you have put the training in, like very specific training,
right?
Like it's got to be a good feeling where you're like, oh yeah, this would be,
totally
no problem.
Yeah, that's a lot of the training. I think is just for the mental, the mental side of it. Just having that confidence, I think, is a huge aspect. Like when you come into hitting a wall, you tell yourself, you've prepared for this. You faced struggles in these things, and you just push through it. And I think that always helps me for sure.
Oh yeah.
Coming into those tough moments.
Oh, for sure. Well, and something that I've said on this podcast quite a few times is when I run, specifically when I run, I don't feel this way with other types of exercise, but when I run, I feel my most creative. So I might like when it comes to podcast, whatever project I'm working on.
Yeah.
I might have some kind of block.
I'm like, true.
What am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to do there? I can't. It's just frustrating. And then I'll go on a run. And then it's funny. There's even been times when for this podcast, I'll text Deb. I say, hey, what do you think about this, this, and this? Like I'll send her like 5 ideas, and she's like,
nice.
Did you just run? I said, yeah, I did. All these ideas
awesome.
flood to my head. So it sounds like you kind of have a similar thing where there is like this, whether it's creativity or just like an emotional release, like that running really helps.
Yeah, it does, man. Big time. It's funny. I just was watching, there's this guy on Instagram that I came across through like watching YouTube videos. His name's Nick Bear or Bar. I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced. You could search him up on Instagram and YouTube. He's really large, like really big following, but he's this like crazy fit, like muscular guy. He did always like heavy weight lifting stuff and decided he wanted to get into endurance sports. So he's done, I think, one full Ironman, did a couple half Ironmans, but he was just saying like anytime he runs a big like nutrition supplement stuff that he created, huge brand. And anyways, he talked recently, like when he comes into like dilemmas in his work or just life stuff, he can't decide on something. He always does these morning runs, and he said, anytime I do my morning run, I feel like I always get the answer to what I'm looking for. So it does do something, I think, to us, you know, mentally and physically, which we don't always think of the mental health aspect of it, but I think it does actually bring a lot of mental health. It does for me, man. I feel like it kind of just relieves stress for me in a big way.
For sure.
That's one reason why I do it.
Yeah, no, it's so Nick Bear, Bare Fitness on Instagram.
Fitness.
Yeah, this guy makes me feel bad about myself. He is in.
Yeah, man.
Jeez.
I'm like, how does that, guys? Just you got to like throw up a photo somehow or something. Not right now, but maybe later. Yeah, that I was gonna mention him in my at the end when you talk about.
Oh, perfect.
Like who we recommend.
No, I just he does. That's what happens when we don't do a pre-show. Just step on other guests' their toes.
No, it's good. We're throwing it in there now, man.
Yeah, for sure.
No, he has like a supplement line that I haven't tried any of it, but I'm sure it's great.
Because I need to try it one of these days. We've already talked about this.
No, I do. I do, man. My wife put me on blast today. She gets this. She works with this one brand. It's called Modere, and they have different health supplements and stuff. She gave me like a cleanse, like it's like a 3-day cleanse. You mix it like with 16 ounces of water or whatever. And you take it for 3 days, and you're supposed to do it once a month. It's just good, like clean out your gut and whatnot. And so I did it twice. I've done it twice. Today was my second day. And I texted my wife. I'm like, man, I've got the most parts today I've ever had in my life. And I was like, it's weird that it actually don't smell that bad, but like I'm so gassy, like I can't, like I felt like I was just farting all day. Sorry, that's like too much, but she already put me on blast for like, no, she screenshotted my text and put it on her Instagram. I'm like, thanks. 300,000 followers seeing that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a little boost.
So I take some supplements.
There you go. Now, did you take that before the Ironman or the half Ironman? Because you could have used that little extra boost. You know what I mean? Just a little extra.
Good, man.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny that you bring up your wife too, because it is funny. Like we follow her on the Connectable podcast on Instagram, and like I do feel like I do get like a fuller picture of who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She always tries to make me put me in awkward positions for sure.
Yeah, it's like
I think I help it out.
Hey, that's all right though. Hey, it works. People like that content because it just you guys are just real. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is a real married couple. This is awesome.
Right.
No, I'll see a picture that you post or a story you post, and then I'll see something that she posts. Like, oh, I feel like I know exactly who Travis Cole is just based on these two things.
That's funny. Oh man.
So yeah, man. So
Josh,
hit me with it.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, please, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, like we talked a little bit beforehand, just like your own fitness journey. We talked about fitness, I think, for me, and we were talking about how, for me, I personally don't really like doing a lot of weightlifting, and I thought that's what I had to do to be fit. I thought I had to go to the gym and put in an hour or hour and a half, 2 hours at the gym every week. Or every day, a few times out of the week in order to get in shape. And I never liked it. Like I was never motivated to do it. I would go through seasons of being more motivated, but found myself enjoying running and enjoying biking. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to stick to these things because I know I like it. And I found myself enjoying looking forward to working out a lot more consistently, working out, disciplined in it. And we were talking about you, and I was like, you are always doing something. I feel like you got cool GoPro shots all the time. I like how you incorporate that stuff all the time too, by the way. And
that's
then
the only reason I
you're
do it
doing
for the
like
picture. Yeah.
yeah, I do it too, man. No, and then you're always running. Like most guys can't get out there, and like I don't know a lot of my friends personally that can just get out there and run 10 miles or 16 miles like you just did, or even 5 miles. Like a lot of people, I don't feel like that's not normal. I feel like. So what got you like, what's your fitness routine like? What are you doing, and why do you do it?
It's a lot of steroids. I take a lot of steroids. If people saw me, you'd realize I'm just shredded, completely jacked. No, it's funny. So I guess I have a couple of thoughts. It's interesting. I feel like I'm at a little bit of a better place now because I feel like the diet part of it has always been a tough thing for me because as I think, as you probably remember, I have a sweet tooth. And I was like in the office, I would always be eating candy and sugar. So that's always like my downfall. And so, there's seasons where I would get in a better place as far as my diet, but then it seemed like time-wise, I wouldn't be exercising as much, right? Or I'd be doing really well going to the gym, exercising, but then my diet was like, yeah, cheeseburger, sure, from McDonald's, not a problem. And so I feel like lately it's been not perfect, but a little bit better, and it's been fun for me to see, some of the results from it. Still a long way to go, and it still needs to be more consistent, but yeah, man, it's been. I'll say this, with the whole pandemic has been interesting because prior to the pandemic, there was probably, I want to say maybe 2-3 months where I was going to the gym consistently in the morning. I would wake up at between 4 and 4:30. The gym's really close to my house, and then I'd be lifting for a little bit. And then, so I was feeling really good. I felt like I was getting stronger. Yeah. I was in a great routine. And then, I personally, I don't know about you, I like going early in the morning because I hate doing it in the evening, and I hate having to go back out. Cause I think for me, I'm like, I get a little bit more lazy. I'm like, I just don't want to go back out. So,
big time.
But in the morning, I feel like, man, I feel like I started my day off. I feel like I beat everybody else to the punch, and I feel like I feel just better throughout the day. But when the pandemic hit, obviously gyms shut down, and that threw things off a little bit, but I wanted to kind of keep going. So I knew that running would be a great way. So it's funny you mentioned the 1,000 miles. That's actually my goal. And I probably was inspired by you a little bit when you came on the podcast last, because I'm like, I think I could do 1,000. My wife just having a baby has slowed that down for me a little bit. But again, my thing too is like, I have the ability to do it. It's just a matter of switching up the schedule and making it happen. Right. But anyways, with the pandemic, it's caused me to get a little bit more creative in how I've done it. So, like Deb for the Character Combine podcast, she created a bunch of workouts that we would post on Fridays, and basically do a Friday workout. And so I took a bunch of those, which are probably a little bit more CrossFit-y, where you're doing a lot of reps and
like high intensity stuff.
And I would do some of that stuff. And I actually, this is really cool. I haven't posted any pictures of this yet. I think I posted in my story, but I haven't posted any pictures. My wife actually surprised me with it's called a HydroCore bag from by Onnit. I don't know if you know that brand, Onnit. It's Joe Rogan's company. And so they have a bunch of supplements, kettlebells and stuff like that. But it's this hydro bag, and it's basically like a U-shaped clear bag, and you put water in it, and you fill it up either a quarter of the way or halfway. I think they said a quarter of the way is about 20 pounds, halfway is about 35 pounds. And it's got these two like ropes on the ends, and you swing it around. You can like shake it. You can throw it over your shoulders and squat it, lunge with it. It's really cool. And so I've been doing that for the last, I think, week and a half. And
nice, dude.
A lot of fun. So, long answer short, I just try to find some different things that I can do. And like I said, I think the pandemic has forced me to get a little bit more creative with how I do it. But I enjoy it. I'm not the best at this stuff by any means. Like, I feel like when it comes, I did sprints the other day. I felt like I could walk the next day. It's like, it was a killer, but I think it's weird. I have a weird relationship with it. I enjoy it, but I don't at the same time. Right. Like, I don't think it's not a natural, like I look at, like, as much as I give you a hard time, I look at you and you're like, well, I just go out and do these crazy runs. I'm like, that's crazy to me, but I can go out and still do that same type of run, but at a much slower pace. And that's still a good thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing for people to know. Like, I'm
time,
more self-deprecating than I really let on. Like, you know, even though you and I have a completely different athletic background, we have a completely different athletic like right now standard for what we're trying to do. Like the bottom line is we can both get out there and do something, and you know, healthy, which I think is a cool thing about, you know, well, and that's why I wanted you on the show today too, because you mentioned in one of your most recent posts about, hey, just to sum it up, you're like, hey, whatever you can do to stay active, get out there and do it. It doesn't have to be running, it doesn't have to be lifting, whatever you enjoy, just do it. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's the kind of stuff that I do.
Yeah, no, you totally did. I think you're sticking true to like what keeps you going back out there, and not. I think often we limit it in our own minds that, you know, it's going and getting some dumbbells and doing curls and squats and bench press, and it's like that's just, it's not fun for me. Like it's the same routine, and for me, I don't enjoy it. And I think like, and I was going by myself too, which I still do go by myself, but I actually enjoy a run by myself. I don't listen to music when I go or anything like that. Like I don't know. It's like a good headspace for me just to be able to go and clear my mind. I don't know. I found what works for me, and that's what I would encourage people to do for sure. It's like, whether it's, you know, boxing or walking at night, you know, for 30 minutes, like just get out there and be consistent in whatever you do. And I think people will find joy in that, you know, finding what they actually like doing. Like I was playing disc golf with a friend the other day, and I was amazed that we walked a bunch. I think I burned like 500 calories, like, wow. And you know, maybe I think it was like close to 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. But I'm like, that was so easy and I loved it. It was really enjoyable. Like anybody could, you know, just find something that you like doing, and that's not too hard too. I think sometimes we push ourselves too much early on and it demotivates us. So I think you just got to like stay within your limitations and then be consistent with those within your own limitations. And then I think you'll start to see progress, and that gets exciting when you start to see the progress. It keeps you going out there for sure. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that's really important. I know I've said this a million times over the years, but I remember a professor I had in college she's like, I hate running. She's like, I don't want to go out and run a 5K. I don't want to go out and run a mile. Yeah. She said, but if you put a basketball in my hand, she's like, I'll be in the gym for 3 or 4 hours.
Totally.
Like, we'll play, 3-on-3, 5-on-5. She's like, I'll be good. But she's like, running? No, not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, which for me is like playing basketball. Last time I played basketball, I felt like I was going to get sick. I'm like just running back and forth.
Yeah. Like, that's how I am.
It's the worst.
I'm like, I'm supposed to be playing tonight at 10 o'clock. And,
oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I haven't touched a basketball in forever. And I'm like, but I've done this before where I've been in like really good shape and then gone and played basketball and like huffing and puffing up and down the court. I'm like, Crazy. It's just completely different. Yeah. You got to get used to that too, but it's just funny.
But for some people though, they're like, it's the complete flip.
They can do it all day. Yeah.
But they get to that mile mark of their 5-mile run. They're like, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
For me, it's like 5 miles. I was telling Rachel the other day, I said, I'm at a point where I feel like 5 miles, even 6 miles feels like what 3 miles used to feel like. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. And if I'm running, for sure. I'm at the point where like, if I go out for a run and it's under 8 miles, it's not even worth my time. It's like, it's funny how like our standards shift so much. Like before, when I set my goal to do 1,000 miles, I was running 3 miles at a time, and I would do it slow. Like I would do it at like anywhere from 9 to 10 minute pace. And so like I was just going out there nice and easy, nice and slow, and then gradually increasing that. And now I've definitely outgrown that. Now it's like, it's a 3 mile run, man. I could just knock that out at nothing, right? So it's just funny.
For sure. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess the whole point that we're trying to make is that, just find something that you love doing, and it just
Right.
get active. I mean, even my brother,
Yeah.
who's been on the show quite a few times. I mean, he's big into yoga. He's big into tennis. He's big into swimming.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of stuff that he does. And it's helped him a lot for sure. I think that's the kind of stuff like that he just loves doing. And he's like, I don't want to run. He's like, I hate it. But the other stuff is great. And you're a tennis guy. So
I love tennis.
Yeah, that I'm not great at tennis. A lot of the balls get sent over the fence, but it's definitely a good workout for sure. If you keep going. So
playing singles one-on-one is a great workout.
Oh, for sure. I don't play to that extent. I don't play to that extent.
Yeah.
I just try to get the ball.
Yeah. You go out there for fun, for sure.
Yeah. And I feel bad for my wife and I were playing for a little while a couple years ago. And it was and she's a PE teacher, so there's a lot of criticism on the other side of the net. You know what I mean? Not that she says it, but I can see in her eyes. Yeah, like
judging your athletic ability.
I can tell she's wearing sunglasses, but I can tell by the posture and the stance.
She's
mad at you. It's like, this kid's worse than my kids in high school. So this is terrible. But hey man, I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time. So I was telling Trav, if you guys listened to our first episode with Trav, we went about an hour and a half, which we've never done with a guest. I've done that with my brother, but that's a different thing because him and I just kind of get so anyways, man.
I talk too much, man. It's my stories. My wife always gives me a hard time that I'm really long-winded on stories, and I know I have that problem. I try to get all the details in. Ella, come here. I got Ella's right here. She just came out here, and she's awesome. The same way. She's my daughter. She's my 10-year-old.
How you doing?
And you should, when she tells stories, she gets it from me. We're always like, man, she gets her storytelling from me because she'll get every little detail, and
awesome.
We're long storytellers.
Okay, let me ask you, Ella. Let me ask you a question. Who tells better stories? Here. Oh, you can't hear. She can't hear.
Yeah.
Okay, and be honest. I'm sure you won't get in trouble for this. Who tells better stories, you or your pops?
His pops.
Me.
You. Sorry. You use like an old man term. Your dad. That's probably the right answer. I put you on the spot. Yeah.
Yep. Lately, I started this thing. I think Jude was like throwing a fit in the car or something like that, and I started telling a story about poop, like someone pooped their pants. Okay. And so every night, and I would do it in this like goofy voice, and then like every single day after that, they're always like, "Tell us another poop story." So I have to like come up with these crazy, like outlandish. I was just making it all up on the spot.
Hey, that's awesome.
Those were good stories. I was a good storyteller then.
Yeah.
Oh, here's Jude.
What's going on, dude? How's it going?
He's saying hi. Say hi.
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Good.
Let me ask you a question. Does your dad tell good stories?
Yes.
That's a good answer.
Do you like the poop ones?
Yeah.
All right.
That's awesome. Hey man, they all have your back.
Jude just graduated from preschool today. He's going Yep.
Congrats, man. That's awesome. I should probably still be back there. There's days where I'm like, yeah, man, I should go back.
Same. Hey, Josh, next time I come on, we should do a parenting, being a dad.
Dad,
you
should go to lunch with them.
Yeah, we should. I should go to lunch with him.
Yeah.
He said you should go to lunch with him.
Hey man, if he's buying, that'd be great.
Yeah. Before the podcast, we were talking just fatherhood experiences and being a dad, and I think that would be interesting. We should next time. Let's do a dad podcast.
You know what, man? I'm so mad that you said that because it's the end of May. This will come out next week, so the beginning of June, and it's around Father's Day.
Oh yeah,
let's talk about this. We may have to talk about that and do like a bonus episode. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
let me share this one story because I have plenty of stories. But I was saying this last podcast that I did with Show Baraka. so there was this moment where my 2.5-year-old daughter I was holding her and she threw her head back and hit my head. I'm like, oh no. And so I can see the tears start welling up in her eyes. And, I'm trying to prevent the outburst. I'm like, no, it was just a headbutt. It's all good. You just headbutted me. And she heard butt and just started giggling like crazy. And I'm like, awesome. Well, then, the next night I was holding her, getting ready for bed, and she smiled at me. Like, what's she doing? She goes, boom, headbutt. And she yelled, headbutt, just headbutted me. And she started laughing hysterically. And so now I'm afraid to hold my child. I'm afraid to hold. She just smiles and just yells out headbutt and then tries to hit me in the face.
She's gonna be like a UFC fighter or something.
At this point, maybe. I don't know, man.
she's
So
samurai.
Yeah, she's got something in her. I don't know. And I'm gonna have a concussion by the end of it. I'm not gonna be able to remember her name. So, well, hey man, I know there's a couple more minutes. Like everybody knows, we do the connection suggestion at the end of these episodes. And we just like to give everybody a couple ideas of either a brand, organization, person, or a restaurant that we feel like you guys should be aware of. So I have two today, but Trav, what do you got for us?
I'm going to go back to my original that I stated earlier. The Nick Bear Bar, check him out on, he's super inspiring if you've got fitness goals. I think, for me, he's actually, I go to him weekly to see what he's doing, what he's up to, and he always inspires me to get back out there and not have excuses and whatnot. So he's always really, really helpful, really positive guy, never vulgar, none of that, like just really uplifting, positive guy. I really like him. Check him out.
Awesome. Love it. And then mine, just quickly, is Courtney Orlando. He's a music producer and artist. He just had an album come out a few months ago called Things Below, and it deals a lot with his mental health journey. It's really good. Nice. I would definitely
say it one more time.
Things Below by Courtney Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, it's about some mental health stuff, so just be prepared. It's maybe more for the mature audience, but really good content there. And then also, I know that we did a health episode, but Bad Bakers is delicious. If you like donuts, I don't know if you've been there, Trav, but their pastries and donuts, it's delicious. Yeah, so if you're like, if you do a really good run or you have a really good workout and you want something to treat yourself, get that. Or if you're like, I don't want to work out, go there anyways. It's fantastic. So Trav, where can they follow you?
I'm on Instagram. That's pretty much my only platform I'm on. And I'm not real consistent on there. I go through phases. I go through my ups and downs of like enjoying it. And then for me, I think I find it can be challenging. I get depressed going on there sometimes. Just, I don't know. I get just when there's like negativity on social media, it like frustrates me. So I just remove myself from it altogether. And
is that out there? Is that on social media?
Yeah. Nah, never.
I haven't noticed. Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. That could be a whole nother topic. So, see, watch out, Deb. He's coming for your spot. He's tossing out topics now more than you do, Deb.
I got them all.
Yeah, he's coming prepared. He's coming in hot. So awesome, man. Well, hey, man, I appreciate your time as always. And let's talk about this Father's Day thing. I think that'd be fun. Jude, Ella, thank you for making the podcast even better.
Bye.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Good seeing you guys.
See you guys.
All right.
See you, bud.
Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.